welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AWOL, and today is the 12th ornament. And just out of frame here, I have clipped these two pieces of string down so that way they'll stay in place, right? And then what I'm going to use is I have this other separate piece of string. Now this one here is about 3 foot long. Doesn't really quite have to be that long, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. And then these green strings, these are about 2 yards long, or almost 2 meters long. So I'm just going to kind of take this thread one here and just kind of loop this over this way. And I'm going to clip this kind of also out of frame like that. Okay, so now I got all of this stuff is kind of held into place. Now, these strings are very long, but you kind of want to make sure that you have enough, because you're going to just do this macrame down here. Now, this is different from my regular knots. So this one starts out, you kind of make like an S with it, right? Take the other strand, go underneath this one and over this one, and just bring that up to the top. Now you come from the other side, this way, come over top of this one, and through here, like that. As you see, we got the beginning of something happening up here. So it goes again. This one goes like a figure 4, over top of this one here, underneath the 2 straight ones, and up through this hole. Okay, and then from the other side. Now normally, I would try to kind of make that S shape and let it kind of sit there, like if it's sitting flat on the desk. But I can't really do that and have it with the camera so you can see what's going on. So try to. Oh, and you can tell I'm using a different board here. This is because I don't need it to be quite so long. I'm not trying to have. See, the other one is probably another 6 or 8 inches longer. Okay, this thing's getting flipped around. So I know some people can do this where they don't have to have the second part clamped down. They just do this kind of holding this with like their little finger or something. I can't do that. I need to be able to do kind of what I'm doing. I don't know why it keeps wanting to flip over. Okay, so now let's say you get kind of stuck and you're like, wait, which side do I do next? If the knot, the last knot, like going straight up and down, is on the right hand side, that's the one that comes over, and then you do it this way. Now at this point, I can go ahead and put the clip onto here, kind of hold it a little bit more steady. So now we have the straight line on this side. So this comes over, and again, you just go over top of that one and then up through the hole that's left for it. And this just kind of goes back and forth. That's all there is to it. There's no anything fancy. You're just trying to make a nice long macrame piece of rope like this. The magic happens afterwards, where we use a needle and then we shape it into a tree. So I'm sure you saw the thumbnail. You know what it's going to look like. These things are really pretty. We made them as gifts. I think that was last year. Gave everybody that came around for Christmas, gave them an ornament that they could have. And they're nice. They're small. They're easy to do. And yeah, we ended up cranking out probably about 35 to 40 of them. And it didn't take very long at all to do it. So yeah, this is a macrame knot that I don't know what it's called, but it's like a really common one. You can actually make bracelets out of string this way as well. I did that for quite a while. I went to a party once with a ball of string that I picked up at the grocery store just before I got there. Paid like $2, $3 for this big ball of string, and it was just cotton, kind of yellowish color. And I sat and I made these, and I sold them at $2 each, and I probably made like $30 that night just making bracelets. So that was pretty cool. Because yeah, this is just really easy. It's especially easy when you have the bottom part down here clipped down, because otherwise the whole thing's moving around, and I have no idea how those people do it when they only have it clipped at the top. It just feels like it's impossible to me. And you have to keep track of which side you're doing, because if you do just the one direction again and again and again, this thing turns into a spiral, which is fine if you're trying to make a spiral and and that's like your end goal bracelet that spins. But for this ornament, it would make it so it won't lay right, and your tree won't come out proper. So you're just trying to make this as flat and as nice as possible. And yeah, I think I may have overdone it with the string length, but this side here needs to be a lot longer than the other one, because this here is just the length that we're making it. This stuff here is what's doing all of the work. So as a result, it will get used up quite a bit, because already this was really long when I started, and now it's down quite a bit. So we also last year did this where we did some of it with where one strand, because there's two strings here, right? And that's how we end up with the two strings here. We did it with one strand being red and the other one green, which made it kind of interesting, made them kind of alternate and stuff. Just turns out that I couldn't do that as an example this time, because the string I had a green, but the closest thing to a red I had was like a peach color, and that didn't seem very holidays at all. And since trees are green, I figured I'd go ahead and just do this in the green instead. But yeah, you can be a little creative in that aspect. It looks kind of cool with two colors. Well, string tried to wrap around itself in a weird way there. And as I get further down here, I'm getting closer and closer to this clip, which sort of makes it a little bit harder, because the strings are getting caught on the clip itself. So I'm trying to drag it up higher and away from the clip. But yeah, this is probably like the first time I've done a video in real time showing you what I'm doing, but that's mostly because this is so much easier. All right. We're nearing the end of this. Let's do a little bit longer. I'm pretty sure the other string we used last year was thicker. That's okay. My only concern with this is that the needle's going to go through our, easily enough. And the longer you make it, the bigger your tree is going to be, because the way that it zigzags back and forth, if you don't have this long, then you can't make a big enough size tree. That's why I'm trying to keep going here just a little bit. I've got the string. It's getting much shorter now. But yeah. So there. Got this long enough. Now give me a moment. I'll go get a needle and we'll get this put together. So at this point, you'll probably recognize immediately those are not my hands. Those are Mandy's. And because Mandy really was the one who sewed up all of the things last time, I had her come in and help me with this. So essentially, we made a loop with that really skinny thread, and then took the other two sides, the longer bits, hooked it to a needle, and she's just kind of rolling it up to get the top part of the tree and bring the needle through it. Now, one of the things you'll notice here is she's going to end up struggling a lot with getting the needle to go through this. Now, the difference with the first ones we did was we used a much bigger rope. And as a result, there was like gaps in between, and it made it really easy for the needle to go through without really making much contact. This was smaller. This is like a heavy yarn, like heavier, like more on the rope side than yarn, but like its size is kind of like a yarn. And when I made the knots as I was going down it, it was definitely tighter, whatever, than using the big string. You can see the other ornament off to the right hand side. So that is one of the ones that we did before. And this is what happens when you mix the strings with the green and the red. It turns out kind of cool. But you can see she starts out with just a little loop, and then she makes it a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger and a little bit bigger. And that's what brings it down. When you get down to the end, kind of curl it over to make the base of the tree. Now, one of the things that she mentioned to me was, in this case, how long I made it. She says it would have been much better if I had made it even longer still. So I had plenty of the long side of the rope left over, but I didn't have much of the shorter side. So to have fixed this, I would have taken the part that was actually sitting against the desk and have made that longer to begin with. So instead of having maybe 12 inches, maybe making it like 18 to 20 inches, and that way it would have come down further. Again, it's easier if you use like a thicker rope than it is to use something really small. So this is definitely something you don't want to do with embroidery floss. But you can see it's just about staggering it to a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. She's kind of eyeing it out now to see where the ending's going to be. Yeah, there's not a lot of stuff that really goes into it, and you may need to practice a few times to get all your proportions and stuff down the way you really want it. I don't have exact proportions because I can't tell you an exact size of string to use. So you're going to have to like experiment with what you have access to. I definitely wouldn't use yarn. I don't think yarn would hold up very well for macrame. The other stuff, the last stuff we used was a nylon, which meant that the ends could be melted with a lighter. This, what I was just using here, this green stuff was cotton. And so, yeah, you can't melt cotton. So there's a few other things to look at. The skinny string I used to make it, you know, for it to hang from, that is, that's catgut, which is synthetic, and it's, it does melt. So I don't know if that helps you at all, but, you know, I just want to let you know what, like, kind of what we used. And yeah, I think they really were cute. They're really fun. This little green one, this little one that I was showing how to do it with, not as great as the other ones, obviously. And the googly eyes, that was just, I don't know why, we just thought that would be really funny. So we actually just glued those on there. But yeah, the other ones with a little bit thicker cord definitely came out cool. Like I said, we made a bunch of them. We gave them out as gifts and got a really good response from that. So I wanted to include that with the 12 ornaments for Christmas. And this is it. This is the 12th one. So we're going to go back to making some bracelets and having fun around here. And yeah. Yeah, you can see she really struggled with getting this needle through. And the string is really small. So it's not like it's because the string coming through is so thick or anything. It's just this yarnish kind of stuff that we were using was difficult. Oh, and at the very end, so you pull through the two ends, right? So at the very end, she brings it around and ties it in a knot, and then that would be just melted off if we were gonna do it right. So yeah, that was kind of thing. And then we clipped the little tassel-y bits just to make it look a little bit nicer. But yeah, you see just a tiny little tree out of this one. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Hopefully you guys are going to get excited and make up some of these ornaments. I'd love to see them. You can join us over on Discord and let me see what you made. You know, there's a whole section for works in progresses and finished projects. So yeah, you can share it with the community, and that would be kind of cool, I think. All right, but yeah. So then, yeah, here we come with the scissors. I didn't cut it too short because, again, melting it. And then, yeah, Mandy's like, you got to cut the other things. But there he goes. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And as always, don't get your strings in a bunch.